Okay, good evening, everybody. We're happy to have all of you here tonight. This is so unusual, but lovely to see so many people coming to be with us this evening. So thank you for being here. We have a special gentleman who is going to be leading us in the flag salute. His name is Sean Hickey, and he is the son of our new superintendent, Lisa Hickey. So Sean, could you please stand up?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get started, I just want to recognize some folks who are with us this evening. We have our city manager, I think he was just in here, Tom Williams. We have all of our principals here this evening. So principals, would you please stand up? We have the president of our Rotary, Christine Balthazar. Christine. We have the president of the Millbrae Education Foundation, Layla. We have our CSEA president, Diana Thomas. We have our MEA president here, Jennifer Colombo. And we have PTA presidents here from our school sites. Please stand up, PTA presidents. We have our food services. Please stand up. And everybody else is a dignitary. I think it's great. And we have our supervisor, maintenance supervisor, or what, pardon? Director, Rudy. So if you see anybody else that looks like they belong, please let me know. You're all recognized. So thank you all for being here this evening. Okay. Public comments. This meeting is being televised and recorded for the transcription of the minutes. At this time, speakers wishing to address the board this evening should turn in the completed speaker card to the board secretary. Our board clerk, Karen, do you have any report from closed session?
No action.
Okay. And do I have a motion to approve the agenda for today?
Motion to approve.
Tonight? Great, Maggie. Second? Second. Thank you. Okay. Speakers wishing to address the board on items on the agenda may complete speakers cards and submit them to the board secretary. Speakers addressing specific items on the agenda will have the opportunity to address the board at the time of the agenda item in the meeting. If you're addressing the board on a non-agenda item, please be aware that the provisions of the Brown Act prohibit the board from acting or discussing such matters at this meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic and 20 minutes per agenda item. Okay, so we're going to ask if our Millbrae Education Foundation has a report this evening.
Good evening, trustees. Good evening, interim superintendent. Done. Good evening, new superintendent. We're so excited to meet you tonight, and we're just all really excited to be here. So welcome to Millbrae. I have just a few updates. Number one, this weekend we had our, this TV, can y'all see me? Okay. That's good, Jeff? Thank you. We had our holiday boutique this weekend at the Millbrae Rec Center. This was a new move for us this year. We actually partnered with the city of Millbrae to be a part of the 75th anniversary celebrations so that our holiday boutique can be what we want it to be, which is truly our community engagement event. We had over 35 vendors, and my most exciting news to report about our vendors is that I think it was about 8 or 9 of them were actually students, either in the district or Mills High School students. So yes. And I think the thing that we're all most proud of out of that is that one of our 6th grade vendors who makes her own jewelry, she created all of her own inventory. She has an Instagram that I can share with all of you. She's actually donating 5% of her proceeds back to MEF.
Nice.
So, that really signals kind of what we're trying to do with MEF, which is be a part of the community, build up the values of education and volunteerism and community so that we can raise funds to bring resources back to our students. And so to see one of our students and to see so many of our students want to be involved in that work was really exciting, and it was really encouraging. And to have the partnership with the city this year was really something special. We typically don't raise a lot of money during our holiday boutique because it really is a platform for community engagement. Last year, I think we raised about $2,500 to $3,000 with our bake sale and some raffle tickets and that type of thing. But I think being closer to downtown, getting just general community foot traffic and not only our parents and teachers and trustees coming through, we actually raised close to $5,000. So we're even in a year where the economy is weird and things look different this year and things are a little bit more uncertain, I'm encouraged because Millbrae is coming together to be a more cohesive unit and be fully involved in the work that we all do. So that was really exciting. The other really exciting thing that I have to report back to the Board of Trustees is that your faith in us and in CAMED has paid off. So we have finished our first round of MEF Sparks Curiosity. So each student has done their first session with CAMED. Each school has done their first round of sessions. And I'm looking at all the principals and the teachers back here. I have only gotten positive feedback. So if there is negative feedback, it's not coming to me. And we have worked through the scheduling, the logistics, and all the reports, certainly from my 4th grader who got to make ice cream in class and learn about chemical reactions and crystallization. She was super excited. But I want to read, I don't want to just tell you, I want to read from actual quotes that I got back from our teachers in the district. Because I think they're the ones whose opinions I care most about when it comes to this. So, one of our 4th grade teachers, Cam was amazing. I've been singing their praises all day. Timing was perfect. Kids learned a lot. 2nd grade teacher, all of my kids gave it a 10 out of 10. All the teachers are raving about it. All the hard work has paid off. The kids and I can't wait for them to come back. Another 2nd grade teacher. We all loved CAM Science today. They were great. The kids were excited. It was well organized. The teachers that came in were prepared, and I was so impressed. And one of our middle school teachers, I was very impressed with what was done. They did a great job. Kids were very engaged the entire time, and they had great control of the class during the whole lesson. So I'm happy to report that that is the feedback that we're getting. We are also providing the principals and the teachers with forms to fill out once their sessions are done to give us honest feedback. And they are anonymous, so they can be as truthful as they need to be, and we're happy to receive that and tweak what we need to. There have been instances where we need to change schedule or we need to adjust, and it's been an effort of teamwork to get that done and make sure that the logistics are right for each school site. So I'm happy to bring that report to you guys. We are, as always, I'm going to plug our next event, which is our readathon. We'll kick off the second week of January. Last year, we raised about $45,000 through our readathon, and that's a way for extended family and friends and community to donate and pledge to our students who are reading thousands of minutes. Last year, our Millbrae students read 85,000 minutes during readathon, so we're going to keep that going. And then after that, mark your calendars. I'm going to watch you all mark it down. March 23rd, Frank. March 23rd, got it? 2024 at the Hilton. Can you guess what I'm going to tell you? Is our 7th annual MEF Gala. That's right. That's what I want to hear. This is our 7th year, so it's lucky number 7, which means it's casino night. Everybody, lucky number 7. We're going to bet on a brighter future for Millbrae kids. March 23rd, 2024. We'll see you there. Thanks, everybody.
Layla, one of the best comments from Cam, and I want to reiterate that I have heard nothing but positive things, so thank you. We had a lot of questions at the last meeting, but they rose to the occasion and beyond. But our interim superintendent took the lead during Thanksgiving, I think, and made ice cream with his grandchildren after seeing it in action. Is that right, Kevin? Great, thank you. Okay, Millbrae Education Association. Jennifer?
Good evening. Nice to see so many faces here tonight. Good evening, President Ferrario, trustees, interim principal Skelly, and our new superintendent, Ms. Hickey. On behalf of MEA, we'd like to welcome you, Superintendent Hickey, and to our district, and we really look forward to working with you. And Dr. Skelly, thank you for your time. We appreciate all the help you've done and hard work you've put in the past few months in our district. MEA is also looking forward to a successful negotiation session this coming Tuesday. So thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you. Okay, CSEA, Diana Thomas.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not going to address everybody because she already did it all. I'm Diana Thomas, the president of CSEA. We want to thank you, Kevin, for all your great work you did. And we're going to miss you, but we have a great incoming superintendent. Very excited to have you on board and look forward to working with you. I know the reorg is happening tonight too, so we want to congratulate you guys all on your new seats you'll have next meeting. And CSEA wants to give a big shout out to Rudy. He has done it all. We're losing him as a member because he can't be where he is a CSEA, but you're always welcome at everything we have and you're always in our heart. Thank you.
Do we have any members from the community? Any blue sheets? Claudia? Do we have any blue sheets? No? Okay. So now we're going to move on to our board reorganization. So since we have been holding these positions for the last 4 months, we have been acting in these positions, and now we will be officially taking the position of president, vice president, and clerk. So we don't need to have a formal swearing in. We checked on that. And so we're just going to take nominations, and we're going to have a vote. and then we will stay in our same seats because we're not changing. We're not rotating. So first, can I have a nomination for 2024 president?
Okay, I think I'll take this one. Okay, so I'm not going to say nice things about you because you're not going anywhere. But I do, but I do have a surprise for you. So I got contacted this week because we were going to do the swearing in, and you asked your family, and they said no to you because everybody's busy doing something. But anyway, I got an email and a call from your son Bobby from New York. And he really wanted to be part of your swearing in as president. So I have a message on his behalf.
Sweet.
Okay, you ready? It almost made me cry, but anyway. So communities like Millbrae are made stronger because of our volunteer and leaders, and because people like Linford are you. Tonight, we nominate a leader whose reputation, expertise, and commitment to education is universally regarded as gold standard. Our community is made better because we have a leader in Lynn who has dedicated her entire life to public education, which is why I'm excited to nominate her as president of the Millbrae School District, Millbrae of Trustees. Okay, tonight is also a special night as it is Lynn's 40th anniversary as part of the Millbrae School District. 40 years ago, Lynn began her relationship with our school district like many of you. She was the parent of a kindergartner at Millbrae School District. Fast forward 40 years later, Lynn has been a parent in our district, a teacher, and a principal, impacting thousands of lives and mentoring hundreds of teachers, past, present, and future. Lynn, we are thrilled to be part of this board alongside with you.
Oh, that is so
Bobby,
sweet.
Ferrario, New York. I hope that he's able to watch it and see it. And so, anyway.
Well, thanks, Bob, wherever you are.
On behalf of Bobby Ferrario, I would like to nominate Lynn Ferrario, our president of the school board for the next following year.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Great. So do we have to take a roll call vote?
No, just all.
Would just all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Any-
Okay, motion carries. Thank you so much. I accept. And I just want to thank my son and my whole family, and they have been instrumental in supporting all of the endeavors that we take on as parents and as community volunteers. And I'm really touched. So I just want to thank him in New York. I'll be seeing him in a few days, so he just couldn't come out any earlier, right? So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move right along to nominating our 2024 vice president to the Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion,
So moved.
a nomination?
So moved.
Thank you, Frank. Do I have a second? Oh, no, so can you make the nomination? Who would you
I'd
like?
the nomination for vice president for Maggie Musa, trustee Musa.
Wonderful, great. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Looks like trustee Musa is our new vice president. And do we have a nomination for our 2024 clerk? of the
I
Board of Trustees?
nominate Karen Chin as our clerk.
Do I have a second? I'll second that one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Karen Chin. Okay, that was fun. We're going to move to the most important thing this evening, and that's to our new superintendent appointment.
Committee appointment.
Pardon? Oh, committee, oh, okay. I just wanted to get to the most important part right away. So we have a slate of committee appointments. Do we have to vote on each one of those separately or just as a slate? Okay, perfect. So our committee appointments have been documented on our agenda. And so do I have a motion to approve the slate of committee appointments for?
I motion to approve the committee nominations.
A second?
I'll second, but I did notice a typo.
You found a typo.
Just on the date, 2024 Budget Committee, it should be 2023, not 2032.
Oh, 32 instead of 20.
I was like, what?
So noted. Yeah, you don't want to be the clerk for that long, right? Or on the budget committee. Okay, we have a
And I will
motion
second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we have a new slate of committee appointments for 2024. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to the superintendent appointment. So superintendent, interim superintendent, Skelly, would you like to do the introduction or?
I don't.
I will.
First of all, I know Lisa for, I think it was 11 and a half years ago, in a board meeting like this. You were coming in as the principal of Juana Briones Elementary in Palo Alto, and I was the superintendent. And I just remember how excited I was that we could find somebody like you to lead a school that had had some challenges before that. And then over the years, we've stayed in touch, and I've watched your career develop and see you take on positions of increasing responsibility. I've seen your heart for kids, your respect for teachers, your sense of service. And I've watched your son, or heard, well, when we've talked about your son and your husband, but your sons and your husband. And then I got to sit on a very cold October night at Carlmont High School, where the Aragon Dons beat Ralph's Carlmont High School football team. And your parents were there, and we had a good chat there. And your mom is a former elementary school principal. So I know education is in your blood, and I know that service for others is something that you care deeply about. And so when I got this position, I was thinking about the district. And then as I was here longer, you know, you fall in love with the place, right? The people here, the folks that you work with every day, you see this noble work that we do, and you start thinking, well, they really have to find somebody good. There really has to be somebody who's worthy of the talents of this staff and the promise of its young people. And I think you have that person here. And so to see this have come in, and I know I called you about this job and encouraged you to apply. Maybe you would have done it anyway. I think you were thinking that Sean is graduating, and maybe this was a little earlier than you wanted for this move in your career. But I just think you're going to be such a great fit for this community. You're going to learn to love it the way I have. And I think the district is in just such good hands to have you here. So anyway, it's going to be great.
Great, okay. So it is recommended, the Board of Trustees approve the that we approve the superintendent agreement with Lisa Hickey as presented. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve?
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Lisa. Please.
Is
I'd love to
now
hear
the
from
time.
you. Yes,
Say a
it's
few
time.
words. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, everyone, for coming out. I know that December is a really busy time, so I appreciate everyone who is here tonight. I stand before you with immense gratitude and excitement as your newly appointed superintendent. And first and foremost, I want to express my sincere appreciation to the Millbrae Elementary School Board of Trustees for entrusting me with this privilege of leading this wonderful community. I am truly honored. During the past couple of weeks, I have had the opportunity to speak with the trustees, a few staff members, and a couple of parents of students who attend Millbrae Elementary Schools. And the sense of pride in the Millbrae community is evident in our conversations. It is inspiring to learn that many staff members have roots in Millbrae, having grown up here, attended its schools, and returned to contribute to their hometown. The town of Millbrae is very familiar to me, as I grew up just next door in Burlingame, although many people, when I say that, say, okay, we'll forgive you for that one. And I've been a Peninsula resident for my entire life. Tonight, I am pleased to be joined by my parents, Jean and Sylvia Chin, who still reside in the Burlingame home where I was raised. My mother is a retired elementary and middle school principal who spent 20 years working as an administrator in the San Mateo Foster City School District. Additionally, I'm accompanied by my husband, John, and my son, Sean, who's a senior at Aragon High School. My older son, Jack, is a sophomore in college. He just finished up his finals, and he is driving by himself 9 hours from Salem, Oregon. And as you can imagine, as any mother would, we've been calling him a lot because we don't like the idea of him driving 9 hours. But in fact, we expect him to be home hopefully by the end of this meeting. So my husband is also an educator, and he teaches middle school social studies. Actually, our story is that we met teaching at the same middle school at Miller Middle School, and we have been married for 21 years. So I'd like to also express my appreciation to Interim Superintendent Dr. Kevin Skelly, who has been extremely supportive throughout the transition. And even though I will officially start this position in the new year in January, I will be spending some time next week in Millbrae, and I look forward to meeting the principals, which I actually met all of them tonight, teachers and staff at the school sites and the district office. Having spent close to 20 years as an elementary and middle school principal and district office administrator, I want to share some core beliefs that provide me with a sense of purpose and commitment to education. I believe in building strong relationships. Education is not just about curriculum and standards. It's really a people business, and it's about strong relationships. Students, educators, parents, and the broader community. Building strong relationships is the foundation of a thriving educational environment, and I'm committed to fostering an atmosphere of trust, collaboration, and open communication. I believe in the importance of community. Just on Tuesday night, I was at the Millbrae City Council meeting with the trustees, and it was the 75th anniversary gala, and I was just really impressed with the small, tight-knit community feeling of this town. Education is a collective effort that extends beyond the walls of our classrooms. Our community is an integral part of the educational journey. And I believe in the power of a united community where parents, educators, administrators, and local businesses work hand in hand to create an environment that nurtures the growth and development of our students. So let us strengthen our bonds, celebrate our diversity, and create a community that is actively invested in the success of every child. I believe in creating a sense of belonging for both students and staff. Every student deserves an educational experience that goes beyond academics. I am dedicated to creating an inclusive learning environment where students feel a sense of belonging and are excited to come to school each day. We want students to feel that their classroom and their school is their second home. By embracing diversity, fostering empathy, and promoting a culture of acceptance, we will ensure that our schools are spaces where every student can thrive. Staff members who feel a sense of belonging leads to increased employee retention, and their rich experience and expertise helps our students grow academically, socially, and emotionally. And I believe in academic excellence and personal growth. Our primary goal is to provide an education that equips students with the knowledge and skills they need for success. Academic excellence is essential, but so is personal growth. I'm committed to creating an environment that encourages curiosity, critical thinking, and a love for learning. Let us empower our students to achieve their academic potential while nurturing the qualities that will make them compassionate, resilient, and responsible citizens. In closing, I am truly excited about the journey ahead. Together, we will write the next chapter of success for the Millbrae School District. I look forward to collaborating with each and every one of you to make our schools not just places of learning, but vibrant communities where every student can flourish. Thank you again for your trust, and I'm eager to begin in 2024 as the new superintendent of the Millbrae Elementary School District.
Well, we congratulate you so much, and we're so lucky to have you, Lisa. I just wanted to mention that Trustee Chin and I had the opportunity to go on a validation site visit in Palo Alto, and we met with several groups of stakeholders in her district. We met with 3 principals, the president of the classified union, the president of the certificated union. We met with the superintendent, the deputy superintendent, and right on down the line, they all said that they were truly missed or saddened that Lisa's leaving. But the fact of the matter is that they were prepared for this because with her extensive knowledge and experience, that it was just a matter of time before someone was going to scoop her up and take her. So I'm glad that Millbrae got first dibs. It was also clear that there were many adjectives that came through when we had conversations with the groups. We heard things like Lisa has integrity, she's trustworthy, she's dedicated, she's professional, strong, a really strong listener, a problem solver, approachable, results focused. But the most important thing that I got from all of our conversations was the fact that she listens and communicates. We need strong communication in our district, right out to the schools, to the district office, to our parent community. Communication is key. And right down the line, we heard that Lisa is so quick to respond. If she gets an email, a phone call, a text, she's on it within less than 24 hours. So these are things that we're going to really appreciate. I know we will in having our time with her, and we welcome you to our Millbrae family, Lisa, and we're glad that you're kind of back home, right?
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you all want to comment? Not. Okay. So, no, we're going to do trustee comments a little bit later. So now we're going to take a little bit of a break and celebrate our new superintendent. We have cake, we have cookies that are homemade by our food services lady who just makes the best cookies. We have coffee and tea. And so I just invite you to come up. We'll cut the cake. Lisa, you can come up and cut the cake, and we'll have about a 15-minute break. Well, I think we should have cake at all the meetings. What do you think? And I think we should have a break and maybe a little nap. No, just kidding. Back to my kindergarten roots. Okay, so now we're moving on to trustee communications and comments. So can I start with trustee Chin?
Sure. Let's see, where do I start? We have a lot to discuss. We did go to the CSBA conference, which was for the school board members in San Francisco, I think, gosh, a week ago. All of us went, and we were able to go with Lisa, our new superintendent, and Kevin Skelly, and I think we learned a lot of great stuff, and I'll let Claire share some of the things that are available to our students. And I wanted to thank Claudie, who is no longer with us, but she was our Director of Business Services, and welcome Sujung as the new Director of Business Services. We're excited to have her. And I wanted to congratulate Rudy as our new Director of Maintenance and Operations. You've been a real asset to this district, and I know everybody is championing you. So we're super excited to have you in this new role, even though you've already been pretty much doing this for a long time already. I know Layla already left, but I wanted to thank the MEF and the many parents and students who helped with the boutique. It was a wonderful event. It was, clearly showed that we have a ton of talent in this district. A lot of the kids were the ones who actually had their booths, and it was super fun to see all of that. And the rec center, Tom, looked amazing and was super festive. Lisa, we are truly thrilled to have you on board. We were so impressed when we met you, and Lynn stole my lines about all of the different adjectives, of the way people described you when we went down to visit your former colleagues, or soon-to-be former colleagues in Palo Alto. I think the one line that I always liked was, you put the human in human resources. And so, we're really just super excited to have you. I'm so glad we got to meet your family. I know that this district is going to go lots of great places with you at the helm. And then, of course, with Superintendent Skelly, I wanted to, say thank you to you. As soon as you came on board, I think there was a shift in the way that we all sort of observed in our district. I think that you brought this sense of calm to our district, and, your compassionate way of really being a listener and being very direct was a great combination, I think, for not just our staff, but our board, students. I really enjoyed seeing some of the pictures of you really meeting people at their level, and literally you would get down on the floor with the little kids and you would play cards, and I think you were having more fun than any of them. So anyway, thank you, and we will miss you, but we're glad that you're not going to be far.
Thank you, Karen. Superintendent. Trustee Musa.
Well, thank you, Karen. You said everything I wanted to say. But yeah, I am very excited. I know this is December, but I feel like it should be the beginning of the school year, because we are, again, lucky to have you, Kevin, to come and join our team. And I know you're not going too far because you'll be around. But looking forward to working with Lisa. And I think between our district office staff, our amazing principals, and our secretaries, and Rudy, you're gonna be great at your new position. I think we have such a wonderful team, and I'm looking forward to January after the holidays to really start, doing some great stuff for our children in Millbrae. And of course, Tom Williams, you're here. You're part of the conversation. I know we're going to be meeting in January we usually have a joint meeting with the council and the school board, and that's another important relationship that we have, is because we need to know what we're doing together so we can make it better for Millbrae students and community. So anyway, looking forward to the great second part of the year. And then just everyone, enjoy your holidays with your family as usual. Take a break, enjoy the kids. I know it might be, a little bit loud, a little bit unorganized, but really, we're very lucky to have what we have, and just kind of have a great holidays.
Thank you, Maggie. Trustee Beltrami.
I also want to congratulate all of our new employees coming into the district. I'm looking forward to working with you in the upcoming months. And I also want to thank Superintendent Scully for being with us and introducing me to what a school board does, because we were both newbies at the same time, and so it's been a growth process for me also. So thank you for your support as I take on this role. I also wanted to say that I am very grateful that I was able to attend the orientation for new trustees with the CSBA conference 2 weeks ago. It covered a lot of meaningful information as I take on this role as a new board member, and I'm looking forward to implementing some of the things that were covered in that orientation. And also, I'm very appreciative that Superintendent Hickey attended it with me so that we were able to get some of that same information and be on the same page, ready to start when things happen and we're back in January. Also, during that conference, I was able to go to a session where I was able to hear the state controller, Mrs. Cohen, and our state treasurer, Fiona Ma, talk about the state of our budget and some of the bad news that's going to be happening in the upcoming months with the state budget and what it'll do to impact our school district. But I really feel very confident that these two outstanding individuals are at the lead, and they have the educational component for the state of California at their core belief. And I'm hoping that they'll be able to find a way to keep our funding at the highest possible under the economic things that are going to be happening in the state of California. One of the highlights from the conference was a new state mandate that's coming out called Cal Kids, where children who are from low-income families are going to be eligible to have a savings account opened in their name starting from first grade, and every year they would be eligible for $500 to go towards their college or career when they graduate from 12th grade. So we're looking forward to implementing that here for our low-income families so that they will have an opportunity by the time they finish their education that they can go on to some further things to make them valuable members of our society. So I really appreciate the opportunity to attend the conference. So thank you for the school district for allowing me to attend that. Also, I wanted to mention that our bond feasibility survey has gone out, and so that's been going around to all of our Millbrae constituents to see about what the thoughts are from our stakeholders about having us pass a bond, the possibility of that in the future. And I also want to compliment Tom Williams on the beautiful stars. I really appreciate the decorations at the Holiday Boutique this weekend. They look beautiful. And then that fire pit and all of the stars out for the 75th anniversary was just really lovely. So thank you for hosting such a wonderful event for our community.
Thank you. Trustee Barbaro. We steal your thunder.
First of all, I want to ask, does everybody have a monitor in front of them they're reading off of? Because everything that you guys said is beautiful. I'm like speechless. So I'll grab a little bit from everyone. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I mean, we have teachers, we have we have principals, teachers, we have classified, we have certified, certificated, we have so many people here. Tom Williams, our city manager, is here. So thank you so much for being here. CSBA was the first time I ever went to a conference in 16 years, and I was really surprised. I should have went a long time ago, but I learned a lot in just 2 classes. I learned so much about equity, about property, the school district's own, about retirement for our employees. I learned so much, like in just 2 classes. So I know that it was really informative for me. And, you know, we have a new superintendent coming in. I had an opportunity to meet with her, with our team for a couple of hours and get to know her, and it was really special. And I'm really excited about her coming in to this team right now, because I know she brings a lot to us, and she knows what we're all about. I think she knows all about what we care for, what we strive for. So, that's really important to all of us. Let me see. What am I leaving out? Tom Williams, thank you for being here, our city manager. And last but not least, Rudy. We go back a long time, and I got to just say this one thing. 16 years on the board, 23 years in the district, and I have never seen an employee do so much with his heart, with so much consciousness. I thought about writing it down, but I can't. You have elevated yourself because of who you are, and I'm so happy for you to get this promotion. I really am. So good luck, and we're with you all the way. And thank you all for being here tonight. I'm sort of kind of speechless. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Again, going last, everybody stole my thunder, but that's okay. I wanted to make a few comments about our interim superintendent. Kevin came on board a short time ago, and he came in with such a love for our district, and it has just grown and grown. He is on school sites all the time. He communicates, he answers messages. I mean, he hit the ground running, and we couldn't have asked for a better leader to take us from the exit of our last superintendent to now our new superintendent coming in. So, Kevin, I just can't sing your praises anymore, and I know the whole district feels the same way. And although we hate to lose you, we're thrilled to have a shorter person, because I'm telling you, no matter where I am, I know exactly where you are. So, but Kevin, thanks so much. You're amazing.
Can I say one thing?
You sure can.
I forgot to thank you, Kevin. No, we always save the best for last. I've learned so much from just your short time here. I've learned a lot just to be on the school board. I've learned a lot, more than you could imagine. I really have. You gave us our pros and our cons. You were honest with us, and I really appreciate that. And I hope you stay around for a long, long time and work with Lisa. I know you guys work together well, and I know you will. So thank you so much.
Great. I just wanted to mention again, Tom, thank you. That was a wonderful celebration last night. And I want to congratulate our new mayor, Anders Fung. He did a great speech to the community. It was a packed house. So I wanted to congratulate him. I also wanted to mention about Taylor's music program. That was just an amazing night for Taylor. So kudos to Taylor back there for your music program. The other thing is that Lisa comes with a family of educators, and her mom, being a retired principal of an elementary school and a middle school, I've convinced her that I'm getting her a TB test and volunteer clearance, and she's going to be volunteering in our schools, and she's happy to do it, and her husband is happy for her to do it. And so we not only have Lisa, but we have her mom coming on board. So Lisa, watch out. And then one last thing, CSBA conference was wonderful, just being with these great people here and with Lisa and Kevin. The keynote speaker was a gentleman, his name is Dr. Ginwright, and he wrote a book. It's called The Four Pivots. And if you have an opportunity to watch TED Talks, if you look up Dr. Ginwright, he is an amazing speaker. His book is wonderful. And if you're in a school district, you know what the word pivot means, correct? And so you have to look up Dr. Ginwright because he knows a lot about pivoting. So I think that's it. Thank you. All right, moving right along. We have our superintendent update.
Thank you very much. First, I'd just like to to mention to Tom here, it was my hope that this would be the board meeting where we bring the field use and a facility use agreement to. I think the ball is in your corner, and you're going to bring this. And Lisa, there's a saying about board meetings that you have to bring a win to every board meeting. It's something, it has to be something great that you bring. Well, tonight we've certainly hit it out of the park, but that'll be a good win for the community when that agreement gets done. So hopefully that'll be in January. Second, I did have a chance to go to the MEF Holiday Boutique, get you in the holiday spirit. Wonderful community event, just like so many things that happen in Millbrae. And I got some good Christmas things there. The third is I was at the CSBA conference, and I also was part of a panel that did a presentation, and our topic was how to have positive board meetings, just like what happens in your classrooms. And so we sort of had this metaphor of a board meeting, and what are the characteristics of a great classroom, and then what are the characteristics of a great board meeting, and how are those things alike in terms of positivity and good feelings and preparation and transparency and honesty, and then sort of owning when you make mistakes and things like that. And so it got me thinking about the work that the board does here and the community does here. And I think that this is a board that thinks about what they're doing and wants to do a better job and is committed to kids and deeply rooted in the work, and makes their board meetings welcoming places, just like good classrooms. And so I think there's a lot of inspiration that when I was doing that preparation that I took from this experience. This has been a really fun job. You know, the days when you go over to Lomita Park and you do lunch time supervision and you get to play four squares with kids and you think, do I get paid to come into work and do this stuff? And I think there's just a lot of joy here, and I attribute a lot of that to the principals that you have in this district. You are a special, wonderful group, you know, and you've been so welcoming to me, and it's been really fun to go to the meetings, to come on site. Carrie roped me in for 3 full days over there. Just wonderful experiences spending time on the campuses. And I was in a high school district for 7 years, so then you go to elementary, and it's really fun. You can walk around and talk to kids, and when they ask you, they say, "You're so tall." And I just tell them, my friends call me Shorty. And they really don't know what to do with that when you're developmentally at that point in life. So anyway, the next thing I want to do is, Ralph's going to help me do this. Rudy, you're going to come up here and say a few words. And while you're walking up here to the microphone, I'm going to talk about you. And Ralph's going to say a little bit more, but Claudia and Ralph and I had the second interview with Rudy, and I knew a little bit about Rudy, but I didn't know that he started working here immediately after graduating from Cappuccino High School. And he told me that was 30 years ago. And I said, well, did you start when you were 7 years old here? I mean, child labor in this community. But so he has been here doing work for this community for 30 years. And his personal story, his efforts, his legendary barbecues for the district office folks, and just how, and the videos he makes, the way he helps with the drama program at Taylor. There's just so many ways that he's a part of this community. So it's really wonderful that we have a graduate, a member of our community making good here. So he's not the only one. So anyway, Ralph, you want to say a couple more things?
Sure. I want to say thank you to Rudy for all the work he's put in. The short time that he served as interim, you could see a huge difference in the way the department has run in the services. I've enjoyed working with you, and I'm going to enjoy working with you and moving forward and moving this district forward. It's obvious. It's been said by many people that you care about this district. You are here all the time. You are always thinking of how to improve the district, making sure that everybody's getting what they need, whether that be classified staff, the teachers, the principals, whoever it is. You're always there when they ask for something. You always are attentive. You always get it, and you're always responsive. And you have tremendous follow through. So I'm excited to work with you. It's people like you that make my job easier, because if you didn't do a good job, that means I would have to do it. So I appreciate your hard work, and I'm looking forward to a long career with you to make this district even better than what it is now, with your drive and with your inspiration and your vision for what this district could be. So thank you.
Well, I wrote something down. I didn't know what I was going to say, but, you know, I'm just honored, honestly. I'm a former student. I think I told you, 1986, I landed in Millbrae from Nicaragua. Culture shock. I didn't speak English. I had great teachers, though, here at the Millbrae School District, and I think that what makes me who I am today. I'm committed to enhance our schools, make it better. We talk about curb appeal, not just the front of the school, it's our backyard too. So we're gonna make it happen. We got a lot of good things happening, and Ralph, hey, looking forward to it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Thank you, Rudy.
That's it.
I think we have another introduction.
Yeah, Ralph's going to do that right at first interim, so we're going to roll right into that.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Before we make a motion for that, I just want to thank staff for clarifying any of the questions that I had about what's on the consent agenda, specifically the board policies that we are now going to be approving. Just to really appreciate the feedback on the questions that I had about those policies. So thank you. Before I make the motion to approve the consent.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda. All right. Move on to our district business.
Yeah, principals definitely go home and get some rest. Kids will be looking for you in the morning.
Yeah, I'll wait for the room. I'm used to clearing a room when I speak. Hope you guys all enjoy your evening. I know that you're going to be logging in and watching this riveting budget presentation when you get home. So thank you.
Don't take it personal, Ralph.
I never do. So I do want to introduce Soo-Jung Kim to the board and the district and the community. Soo-Jung comes to us from the San Mateo County Office of Education as our new Director of Business Services. In the 2 years that I've been here, this will be the fourth Director of Business Services here in Millbrae. So I want to thank you for coming on. And she came into a difficult time when we are in the middle of preparing first interim. And she has an audit to deal with as well. So the auditors were here, or we're not here, we're at the district office last week. And then they had a whole list of items that they are collecting and looking at for evidence and making sure that we're doing the right processes. And I think it was a good introduction because it gave Sue some information about what they might look for, but also some good insight as to what we've been doing in the last several years here. So thank you. Sue, I don't know if you want to say a few words or just kind of sit in back and wait for questions. Say thank you.
Come up, it's.
Honor to serve Millbrae student and parents and the community. And I'm looking forward to working with you, all of you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to welcome also Superintendent Hickey to the Millbrae Elementary School District. I have a common friend. Well, I have a friend that works in the district, and so when you ask people about new employees that are coming to work with you, you just wonder, and so nothing but positive things, nothing but good things to say from the friends that I have in the Palo Alto School District. So I welcome you, and I'm looking forward to working with you. So thank you. Okay, first interim. So where we are here. There it is. So as you know, the first interim is our first opportunity to adjust the budget after the budget was approved in June. So you're looking at the cycle here. So you have first interim certification. You have the general fund assumptions that are going to come through. You have, this is just what's in the report here. So basically your table of contents as we go through. Just going to go another click. There goes. When we prepare our budgets, either adopted budget or first interim or second interim, we have to identify some key things. And when we look at the budget, we're either going to have a positive certification, which means we're able to meet the fiscal obligations of the current year and the next 2 subsequent years. A qualified budget, which means we may not be able to meet the financial obligations for the current year and the next 2 subsequent fiscal years, or a negative certification. And that negative certifications means we will not be able to meet the obligations in the current and the next 2 subsequent years. So those are the 3 options when we submit the budget, and we submit this budget is going to be a positive budget that we're going to be submitting here to the county, and the county will then review this once we submit it to them after you approve this first interim report, and they will confirm that we are currently in a positive certification situation with our first interim report. Again, this next slide is just the budget cycle. You can see that adopted budget was in July. And remember, that adopted budget was a best guess as to what our revenues and expenditures will be for the entire fiscal year of 23-24. And the first interim is where we have the most variation from budget to budget. Second interim, we have a little less variance, but when we go from July and now we're sitting here in December, a lot of information has happened since then, right? We have some revenues that the state may have changed their mind on, which was some of the one-time funding, which is the emergency learning recovery and the arts and music block grants, and those were cut by 1/3. So you see some adjustments there, but you also see some adjustments in expenditures as well, whether that be salary because the enrollment that you had projected in July plays out, or it doesn't play out because from July to August, there's also some changes in enrollment and staffing. And then you have the close of books, which happens in September. So when you're closing the books, that's when you're looking at all of the accounts. And if there's carryover accounts, those have to be reflected and adjusted at the first interim report as well. So those are the factors that make the budget at the first interim a little bit varied from a budget adoption. You might also have some other programs that were not planned in June and July and weren't accounted for in the budget, but over the summer and the beginning of the school year were needed and then were adjusted in the budget, and you'll see some of those reflections as well. As we move through, in March, you're going to see the second interim. That's where you'll have a little less variation, and we'll have more data on expenditures and actuals that were spent, and then we move on to unaudited actuals in September, like I mentioned before, and then the audit report comes in January. And when I mentioned we had the auditors visit us last week, and they're in the middle of compiling that report. We have not seen that. They gave us a whole list of items we still have responded to, and then they are looking at that list, and then they'll come back and ask for more information as needed before they present the report. So we're hoping that we will be able to present the audit findings in the January board meeting. In the event that the auditors are not able to complete that, we did file for an extension with the County Office of Ed and with CDE. So we're waiting to hear back whether the extension was granted or not. And we're also waiting back to hear from the auditors to see if we'll actually need the extension or not. And if there is an extension, it'll be just presented at a future board meeting, not the January 14th. January 14 would be the meeting. We're hoping to get that to you. These are the assumptions that we have when we're looking at first interim. You can see the 23-24, the statutory COLA this year was 8.22%. That's the COLA that was increased from 22-23. The enrollment, you can see we're still projecting a declining enrollment. And those numbers are based on not only CalPADS data, but also the report from SchoolWorks when we did the demographic study earlier in the year. So we are projecting a declining enrollment. We are seeing somewhat of a flat. I don't know if we'll actually see this decline. TK, hopefully we'll have 80 students in TK next year, not 56 like we have this year. So that will help some of the enrollment stabilize. We also have some new development in the city, and so we're hoping that the new development will also lead to some families that have children that will be present here in the Millbrae Elementary School District. So we have yet to see how some of that plays out once all of that is completed. The projected ADA, and so enrollment is one thing, but we don't get funded on enrollment, right? We get funded on ADA, average daily attendance. So we predict our average daily attendance, and we project our average daily attendance to be 96%. That's where we have been the last couple of years. Obviously, we want to improve that. We'd love to have 100% attendance, but we're striving to increase that attendance. And I know that some schools have some incentives, and that's one of the goals and targets of our LCAP and district goals is to how do we improve attendance? Because that does mean more dollars in the district's pocket when we have higher ADA. So that's what our projected ADA is based on 96%. The other two figures, the STRS and PERS, are numbers that are given to us as projections and increases from school services. When you look at 24-25, the initial data and the initial projection from the LAO, that's the Legislative Analyst Office, and the state, is that we might see a 3.94% COLA for the 24-25 fiscal year. With the depression looming, or in a declining economic state, we are probably not going to see that. The latest information from the LAO, and you might have seen some of this information at the conference that you were at, is that we can anticipate that COLA to be right around 1%. 1.27% was the latest number that I saw most recently in one of the articles that came out. So our assumptions here in our multi-year projections are based on the 3.94% because we're not going to use the 1% until the governor comes out with his budget in January. That's when we'll have more information about that, and that's when we'll be able to see if that is truly going to be a 1.27 or closer to 1, or are they going to be able to fully fund the 3.94? One of the issues that goes on is that last year's COLA, the 8.22%, was funded with one-time dollars that the state had. So they didn't commit ongoing dollars to that 8.22% COLA. So this year's budget has to reflect money in that to cover for that, and then make up any additional COLA after that money has been committed for that increase. And as you can see, the projections for enrollment and ADA. 25, 26, it says 3.29, but that's just too far out to predict, right? We're not even sure what next year's COLA will be. So in January, we might see a different figure for that 3.29, 25, 26 COLA number. And we can take questions along the way, as we have to. Here, this is just a snapshot of the revenue for first interim. You can see the unrestricted and the restricted and the total combined that we are now looking at and projecting for the 23-24 school year. You have your LCF sources, which is mainly your ADA and dollars per student that are committed by the state. Your federal revenue sources, those are your grants, your one-time dollars, and that most of that, all of that money is restricted dollars, has to be spent in specific ways, kind of like the grants I referred to earlier, which were the emergency learning recovery and the arts and music. And then you have state revenues, and then that's another grant money and other funding sources. You have other local revenue. That's where your parcel tax money and donations are coming in other local revenue. Transfers are just transfers from one account to the other. Contributions going from unrestricted to restricted. Much of that is covering your special education costs because you have restricted dollars for special education. So the general fund, unrestricted, has an obligation and covers any deficits or shortfalls in special education revenues. Then you have your totals at the bottom. Next slide, let me get to that. There we go. There are your expenditures. So you can see the different categories from certificated salaries, classified salaries, employee benefits, you have books and supplies, services, other operating expenses, on down the line. And you can see we have a total projected expenditure of $36.5 million. Again, some of these were adjusted from first interim. So that's where the next slide, I think, is the more important slide to look at, is the variances, right? How are we doing with our initial projection at budget adoption versus where we are at first interim? Well, revenue, we're LCFF revenue, we're not too far off, 128,000. So, you're not too far off with that projection. The federal revenue, again, that is somewhat of a moving target from time to time because you don't know what they're going to fund and when they're going to fund it. State revenue, you're looking at a $180,000 difference, an increase there, mostly due to the donation accounts. The local revenue, you have the 369. Some of that was due to the increase in the parcel tax. So we thank the community for passing the parcel tax. And the initial projection for parcel tax was going to be close to $1 million. But when we look at parcels and the first report back that we got from the county, our revenue this year was $822,000 for the parcel tax, which is an increase over Measure N, but it's not the over 900 million or 900,000 that we had projected it to be. And that's just due to the exemptions and other variations of the different parcels within the city. And so a lot of these variances come because when you close books, you don't know how much money you have left in some of your accounts. And so you increase your budget line and your potential expenditures. Not to say this money's already expended, but it's just we can look at like your books and supplies. From a carryover from last year monies that wasn't spent, that total goes up as to what your total possible expenditures could be from the prior year because your carryover increases that value. Here you have the just an interim general fund summary. And can you look at where we are with revenue versus expenditures? And you can see that the total expenditures are exceeding our revenue. So we are deficit spending this current year, both in the unrestricted and the restricted categories. And so we're combined a deficit spending of $3.2 million for this current school year. We're able to do that because we had a starting fund balance of $12 million, $12.3 million. And so you can see at the end of this fiscal year, the projections will go from a $12.3 million starting fund balance to a $9 million ending fund balance. That's how we're able to have a positive certification because we have the funds to cover any deficit spending for the current school year. And as you can see, the reserve for deficit spending is $3.8 million, and you'll see on the next slide the multi-year projection as to why that number is 3.8. And you have the 3% required reserve, and then we have the 528 that is undesignated reserve at this time. The next slide is a very busy slide, but this is the multi-year projection where you have unrestricted, restricted, and combined for the current fiscal year and then the two subsequent fiscal years. And the 3.8 million that you saw there, you can see that's the sum of the 24-25 deficit spending of $1.7 million and the deficit spending of 25-26 of $2 million, almost $2.1 million. And so that will cover the next 2 years of deficit spending. So obviously, to correct that, we need to look at, one, can we increase revenue? And that's a little difficult when you're in an LCFF district. You're kind of handcuffed and tied to the attendance. So one way to increase revenue is to get better attendance. If we can increase the attendance from 96% to 98%, we'll see a slight increase in the revenue line. The other is how do we limit expenditures? So we're looking at various ways at the district and creating plans to limit some of the expenditures. What we saw during the pandemic and shortly after the pandemic was a lot of money poured into school districts, what we called COVID money, one-time dollars. Those one-time dollars funded some programs we have in the district. And so the plan is some of those programs will have to be strategic about which ones we continue and which ones that we're not able to continue because we don't have the fiscal resources after the 24-25 and 25-26 school year, because that, what we call COVID money, has run out and will be running out in the next couple of years. So you can see the restricted, we are not deficit spending in the restricted column because we're trying to correct that. So that helps with the deficit spending in restricted. We're still projected to deficit spend in unrestricted, 1.7 next year. There's a couple of things that might play out. Right now, we're funded on a 3-year rolling average as far as ADA is concerned. And, you know, they do these calculations in the LCFF calculator, and then they also look at funding that used to be before this rolling average in COVID was the current or prior year, whichever was a higher ADA funding, that's what you received. So we may look at that. If we have better enrollment and better ADA, we might be able to use that model, but otherwise we'll be on the 3-year rolling average model unless the state changes any legislature for the funding for LCFF. I know there's always been questions about how far we are from basic aid, which means, right, property tax. So we get the majority of our money from property tax, and then the state fills in the rest to meet the minimum guarantee per student. And last we checked was about 2 months ago with the county, and we were about $900,000 away from the property tax revenue surpassing the LCFF revenue. So, you know, that is always dependent about property tax dollars and the value and assessed value, and if homes are sold in the community, and that's what impacts that the most. The next slide is a summary of our other funds. So you can see our student activities special fund, that's Fund 8, that's only at Taylor. That's your student body fund, right? Your cafeteria fund, your Fund 13, has been a self-sufficient program because there have been a lot of reimbursements from the state and federal government, and everybody's eating for free. And so that's important to note that all students eat for free regardless of their status. But we do get reimbursed based on the status of free and reduced lunch applications that are approved or not approved. So even though all students are eating for free, there's still a benefit to the district for families to fill that application out and to get a status of free and reduced lunch if they qualify, because we get a higher reimbursement for those students when they're qualified that way, or their direct certification ways to get qualified as well. Fund 17 is special reserve for capital outlay. We've used that for technology purchases and for textbook adoptions, so that money has been utilized for those functions. You have your foundation, which is MEF, right? So Fund 19, and that's where we are right now with the balance in that account. And then you have your special reserve for post-employment benefits, Fund 20. You're at $2.2-ish million for that account, and that's the account we were talking about can we utilize any of those funds? Is it possible to allocate those? So we're looking at the regulations and spending and how much we actually need to keep into that account. Your capital facilities, which is Fund 25, and that's your redevelopment fees. So when somebody adds on over 1,000 square feet to a house, they have the fees that they pay. When the new developments happen in the city, you know, that's where that money gets deposited, and that's restricted funding, and we can only spend that in specific ways that would increase capacity for any additional students that would be attending the schools as a result of the redevelopment. And then you have Fund 40, which was from the sale of property, and that's facilities money, and that's restricted funding to make sure you're improving facilities on a regular basis. So next steps, like I mentioned earlier, is the audit report. Once we get the audit report, we'll be able to review that, and then that's for the 22-23 school year, and they audit the final books and the closing of books, and we should have that report shortly in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be able to present that to you in January. if all goes well with the auditors. And then you have the governor's proposed state budget release in January. And then we'll have the second interim where we'll make adjustments based on that that governor's proposed budget, and any changes within the district, programmatic or otherwise, will be adjusted at second interim. And that takes us to the end of the presentation. So I will entertain questions, and Sue's here to help with questions. Her being so new, we'll see what we can answer. And any questions we can't get answered now, we'll get that information to you later.
Okay. Any questions from trustees? Karen?
Thank you, Ralph. I just had a few questions. And that was a detailed presentation, so thank you for that. Let's start with the revenue piece. I know you mentioned we're 900,000 away from being basic aid. And since Tom is in the room, I'm kind of hoping that the $80 million building that we just, piece of property that we sold to Life Sciences, that would be about $1 million in property tax. I don't know how much of that filters down to actually the school district, because we don't get all of that. But I'm just kind of curious as to whether or not with these new developments, we think we could flip. And maybe you don't know the answer to that yet. I'm just throwing it out there.
We possibly could. There's a lot of other variables that take place there, and it would take 2 years to have the secured taxes hit the books. It would be unsecured taxes, property taxes the first year. And the way that it's complicated, but the way that it works, anytime a house or a property is sold, that first year is the unsecured tax, and that goes into a county pool. And that gets divided with all of the LCFF districts within the county. And so that would increase some of our revenue with the unsecured. And then the next year is when it becomes a secured tax, and that's when it would be permanently on the books as revenue for specifically the Millbrae Elementary School District in that situation. So I don't know if that would push us into basic aid or not. One of the factors that is a big variable for Millbrae is the airport. The airplanes are housed at the airport, and when that is considered their home base, that's where the property taxes are assessed and paid to that city. During the pandemic, we saw a huge decline in property tax revenue because it's expensive to park the planes in California, so they found less expensive airports out of California to park their planes, and that's where they pay their property taxes as an airline. So that's a variable that it's unpredictable for us, and that kind of puts a challenge. But I'm hoping that we would be able to increase, or the community would increase property taxes enough where we could jump into basic aid. Now, if we jump into basic aid, it's not going to be a huge increase in the beginning, right? It would take a couple of years for us to stabilize and to have revenue above and beyond LCFF that would help us with some of our deficit spending.
And then the other things on the revenue side, obviously, are enrollment and attendance. I know we're addressing attendance. Yes. I think enrollment, we also have some potential just in terms of, maybe increasing our enrollment even from the switch from elementary to Taylor to middle. I know we had a lot of declining enrollment kind of coming from elementary to middle in the last couple of years, and I'm hoping we can reverse that trend with all the positive changes that are going on at Taylor. I'm hoping that with Rudy and our great KTLR staff and others, that they can kind of produce some videos and hit the road in terms of like promoting all the great stuff there. And then when I think about the budget and the 1% COLA expected, with declining enrollment and the pension increases, what's the actual impact that we're actually projecting on revenue? Because that's actually
great question.
Potentially negative.
Absolutely, that's a great question. So when we first heard that the COLA was going to be going from 3.94 to 1%, this is when Claudia was still here. She did a quick calculation. And so if that is realized that it's a 1% COLA instead of 3.94, it was a $663 difference in projected revenue. So it would be $666,000 less in revenue. So when you see second interim, if that 1% COLA is realized, you'll see about a $660,000 difference negative on the revenue side.
Okay, and then when you add in declining enrollment and then the pension percentage increase for next year is kind of a triple whammy.
It kind of is, but our projections are already taking into account the declining enrollment and the other factors. So the only change you're going to see in second interim would be the 1% COLA versus 3.94%, or whatever the COLA ends up to be. It would change on the school services dartboard, and that's when we would see a change in the LCFF calculator, and that's when we plug in the new numbers, and that's when we get new projections for the 24, 25, and 25 school year. And so our multi-year projection would be what would be adjusted, not our 23, 24 projections.
Okay, got it. And then on the expense side, the deficit spending of 3.2 million, I appreciate you clarifying kind of the difference between the adopted budget and the interim. What do we think the real number will be? Because it sounds like you've kind of got some placeholder spending in there.
That will have definite more information on at second interim, but if we can mitigate some of these projections between now and then, we can potentially, not have a $3.2 million difference there. But at this point, I don't have a good answer for that.
Just a quick question. Karen asked a lot, Karen asked a lot of questions, but for that development, the BART development, I know there's housing. Do we have a number? Families move in? Do we have kids coming from that building?
Currently, we have, I believe, 2, last I checked, which was just a couple of weeks ago, there were 2 families in the, what do you call that? What was that one called? Yeah.
Station?
Yeah. Station 16 complex, we had 2 families with children in the Millbury Elementary School District. One was in middle school, or were they both in middle school? One middle and one's at Lamita.
Oh, and it's fully housed? I mean, it's fully rented?
That, I don't know if it's fully rented or not.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, there's potential more students might be coming in, correct?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
but we
sounds
don't-
like there's a potential we can get more families with children once
Yeah.
it gets fully occupied.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I know there's a couple of projects, the El Rancho and the Office Depot. So those are, there's a potential, we might get more kids and potential that we might get, go into the basic aid, so. but we-
Absolutely. With those 2 developments, we will definitely see more students. We just don't know how many. I mean, if it's similar to what you see at the Station 66 versus this, I don't know. I mean, there are 2 different types of developments. The development by BART is mainly attractive, in my opinion, to commuters and people that are traveling a lot because you're so close to the train station, the BART station, and the airport. The developments further in on El Camino, I think, are less for commuters, and you might see more families in those, but that's just my personal guess. I'm not sure if that's an accurate assumption or not. Tom might be able to correct me if I'm wrong.
No, so basically, it's a lot of unanswered questions, right? Because until the governor comes out with the budget in January, kind of gives us more of a direction. So I know we're deficit spending and we want to, fix that, but right now we're just, I think our hands are a little bit tied because we don't know what the next year looks like. So I guess we just have to, we're going to try to be creative about our numbers, but I think I feel like we're just going to have to sit and wait it out. I don't know.
Yes, and we'll be going through an exercise about, staffing and expenditures. I'm sure that Lisa will be heavily involved in what the needed programs are, what the essential programs are, and we'll make sure that we have a thorough review of the budget in that regard. And we've already looked at enrollment and projected enrollment, so we are tightening up our practices for registration and enrollment, which will mean that we will adjust staffing as appropriate too. As we are projecting less students, we also have to project less staffing, and so you'll see some adjustments there as we move forward with some of these numbers that get realized.
Just to piggyback on that, those were my questions were, because of this deficit spending, we need to increase revenue to get better at attendance. Okay, so,
One step.
we have to talk about how we're going to do that. I mean, we've been our attendance has been poor, some schools more than others, obviously, for several years. So we really have to get creative in getting kids to school.
Absolutely. It's one of our LCAP goals for the district, so I think it's something that we are focusing on and will continue to focus on as a district. And I know that the principals are doing a great job trying to encourage attendance, trying to visit families. I know that there's been some principals that have gone on home visits when students are not showing up. So they've been doing a lot to try and emphasize the importance of attendance, not just for funding, but also for teaching and learning, right?
Absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
important all the way around, but I know that they've been doing home visits and they've been contacting families and they've been doing a great job trying to improve attendance district-wide.
Their newsletters are fantastic in terms of getting that out, that information out to families. You mentioned the LCAP. Aren't we due to write that this year? We're on the
Yes, there
cycle.
was an LCAP meeting today that I believe Terry attended, and so there's regular meetings with the county on the LCAP, and I have a meeting with Terry on Monday to review the budget for the LCAP. So yes, it's something that we are constantly working on. It's not just to write this time, it's something that is being addressed and worked on constantly.
But I'd love to be involved, or for the board to have more input and more information on how that LCAP is being written, so that we can help to put in structures that may work to help. I mean, we've had this last one for 3 years, and so
Correct.
we haven't seen a huge change. And so maybe we need to, rather than, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over again with expecting different results. So that's one thing. And then we talk about limiting expenditures. I'd like to know more, not now, because you probably don't have all that information, but what are we looking at to limit expenditures? How do we, I know how we do it at home on a home budget, but I'd like to know more about how it's done in a school budget.
You hear the word no a lot from me. And then we look at programming and we look at prioritizing programming and staffing and making sure that, the programs that we are funding are effective. Which ones are getting results? Which ones do we feel are important? Which ones are, not as effective? And then we can look out, enhance those, or strategically make cuts based on that.
And then you mentioned about discontinuing programs to the lack of COVID funding. So, I know we'll be having this conversation with Superintendent Hickey in terms of what programs, we try to cut as far away from the classroom as we possibly can. So
Absolutely.
I guess those conversations are going to be fairly soon.
Yes. She might be calling me before she starts in January after this presentation.
So anyway, those are just a few of the comments that I heard when, I guess I just need more information on how we can do better,
Absolutely. And with the transition of superintendents, I think that, you will see that once Lisa gets her, in the door, and we'll hit the ground running with some of these evaluations of programs and budget, and we'll have some answers for those questions.
Great. Okay, Trustee Beltrami, did you have any questions? And Trustee Barbaro?
No, not at all.
Okay, so it is recommended the Board of Trustees approve the 2023-2024 first interim report as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, is there any more discussion before we go to a vote? No? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Excellent, thank you. And I want to thank Sue again for the work that she did, coming in so late and hitting the ground running with this report and answering all my questions as it was being prepared. So thank you, Sue.
Yes, thank you, Sue. We've heard wonderful things, like I told you. We're going to be watching. No, just kidding. All right, we're looking at resolution number 23-2408, authorized signatures. Staff requests the board to approve Director of Business Services Soo-Young Kim, Kim, and Superintendent Lisa Hickey be authorized to sign documents on behalf of the district. It's recommended the Board of Trustees approve resolution number 23-2408, authorized signatures as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Great. We have approval of independent contractor agreements with the Millbrae Elementary School District 23-2451, KAS and Associates. Consulting LLC Superintendent Coach. It's recommended that the Board of Trustees approve agreement with the Millbrae Elementary School District 23-2451 is KAS and Associates Consulting LLC to provide consultation to the Millbrae Elementary School Board of Trustees and its superintendent. Would anybody like to speak to that at all? Should I let everyone know what what KAS is?
So anyway, this is just, I want to help Lisa and you, I can't leave. Just to help out, it's a 6-month contract.
And we read the trustees have read the contract.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so.
think there's some flexibility there, but it's,
Right.
my hope is that it's,
And we just can't let you go, Kevin.
yeah.
And I think that is more than reasonable, having read the contract. I know our trustees have read the contract, and I think that having a new superintendent and having someone who's been interim, having that transition time is crucial. So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
There you go.
In a
I'll
second.
second.
Sorry, Maggie, I'm sorry.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Welcome. Okay, board governance. Approval of 2024-2025 school calendar, start and end dates. Staff requests that the board approve the attached proposed start and end dates for the 2024-2025 school year. Upon approval, staff will work with employee bargaining units to create a school calendar the next year that conforms to California Education Code. This calendar will be brought to the board for approval. So this is just a discussion, correct? This is, are we?
You need to approve.
We're
the start
approving to
date.
start and end, and then it goes to the unions to
And then
do
you'll get it back.
the rest.
And I would say, the other part I would say is that if I was, well, I mean, I think you need to speed this process up. You're a little late. You may be getting some conversations. I think most parents assume that you're following the high school district pretty closely, but I think they have a calendar approved for not just next year, but the year after. So that would be a good cycle to just go right behind them.
Okay. Thank you. So before we have a discussion, do I have a motion? Yes?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and do I have a second? And then do we have some discussion around this? I think we had some questions. Trustee Chin?
I don't really have any questions, just a quick comment. I just want to make sure that whenever we're doing our calendar, it matches up, and that we also are very much coordinating on our promotion schedules. Because I think that's always where there's the sticking points, and sometimes our promotion kind of gets changed last minute, or I feel like maybe it has, maybe that's just my feeling. But I just want to make sure that we're always, in step with the high school district so that there aren't conflicts with families.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think the high school is generally pretty consistent, and they should really, if they do change, is typically theirs is Friday afternoon, and yours is Friday morning. And we have a meeting next Thursday, myself, Aaron, the Mills principal, hopefully Lisa, to talk through, just make sure that everybody knows who everybody else is, and then that we do that.
No, go ahead.
Trustee Musa?
Yeah. No, I know in the past, we've always tried to align our calendars with Mills High School. And as a parent, when I had a kid, elementary, middle, and high school, And as much as I wanted them to be so close together, but having them so close, it was a bit complicated. So in the past, we had a week difference, which is it just elevated the pressure on the parents having to first register all 3 kids, 3 different schools, and drop-offs and pickups. And so that would be my concern in that sense, because if you're a parent with 3 different ages, the extra few days when we start later than the high school, it just gives the parents a chance to get the high school started, and then maybe focus on the younger kids. So that would be my only comment on this one. Again, within the calendar, spring break, holidays, we should align with the high school, because typically when the kids pull out, they would pull out the elementary school over the high school. So then that's where we lose revenue. So, and again, so I'm a bit
Here we
conflicted.
go with the attendance issue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're always looking for attendance. And so, but maybe this aligning with the high school, maybe we would get less kids missing school. So,
Have we received any information or any calls or emails from parents asking about the calendar and kind of advocating for a certain date?
Linda,
I think
don't think we have yet.
No. Do you, Claudia?
Typically, right at the start of the new year, when registration kicks off everywhere, parents really want the calendar.
Okay.
That's usually when the calls begin.
And any thought on what they want?
No, if our date isn't out yet for like when winter break or spring break is, you get that question, but I've never really had questions about the matching.
Okay.
I think you brought up, Superintendent, School Board Member Musa, if you have a high school kid and there's a misplaced, the calendar's different, you're going to pull your kid out of elementary every day of the week. So we do need to match up with them. That's our strongest argument, I think, for this.
Okay. Any more discussion on that?
Well, having said that, there are some PD dates that are on the high school calendar that are not on our calendar. Usually there's this strange PD date at the end of January for the high schools. It's like an odd weekend, and you get this odd 4-day weekend at the end of January in high school, which is an unexpected treat as a high school parent. If you do have a younger student, though, in elementary, you would probably miss those days. So if we really want to align, there are some, not holiday things, but PD dates that are off.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that I think, Ralph, you and Claudia are going to work with on after this approval about what the dates are. And it'd be really interesting to look at what our attendance was like on those PD days, right? Because if they're a long weekend, you've got a strong temptation to take those days off and go do something else as a family.
Yes,
We'll look at that.
just point of clarification, we're just voting right now or approving right now the start and end date. All of those dates, the PD, the vacations, that's all up to negotiations with our
And we should try to
parties.
bring that back next meeting.
So we're not voting on that right now. This is just voting for the start or approval of the start and ending dates.
But it's good to bring this up because the conversation should be starting, because if we're going to be talking about any of our PD days or, to really coordinate with the high school district. So,
And I
good point.
agree that we should have multiple year calendars. I mean, this is very late to be coming up with next year's calendar. It would be wonderful if we could do 2 years
yeah.
instead of just the one.
Why don't we do that? I mean, it seems like we're always behind.
Yeah.
Why don't we just pass? I mean, it seems like every year we have right around the same dates. So I don't know why we need to do this every 2 years. Just do it 2 years at a time, or unless something changes at the high school level.
We'll talk about this tomorrow.
Okay.
Review.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Review of CSBA policy updates. Personnel section 4000s and student section 5000s. And I believe this is a discussion item, and this is going to come back to the board for approval on January 16th.
That's right.
That's correct. Okay. So is there any discussion around these policy updates that the board would like to address?
Can I just add something? I think you received some communication from Ms. Whipple that now you can look on, there's a document there, a spreadsheet that has sort of some comments on it and some other pieces that need to be looked at.
Makes it much easier. Thank you. Much easier.
Yeah, she's done a really good job
Yeah,
of
much easier. Thank
organizing
you.
this task.
Okay, so just be aware that that's going to come back in, is it January 16th, our next meeting? I thought it was the 14th for some reason. It's the 16th. Okay. Okay. All right. And then let's see. The agenda item is for discussion. The board meeting and will be brought back for approval. Okay. The board policies. Okay, we have those. And then moving on to possible future agenda items. Are we good? Okay. So on the book so far, we have discussion with PTO, PTA presidents. And we had, Maggie and I had a conversation during agenda review with Kevin regarding the joint meeting with PTAs, principals, and prior to the last couple of years, we always had, it was an evening and it was separate from a board meeting. And it was a great time to really talk to each other and to understand challenges at all of the schools. The principals were there, the PTAs would talk about the things that they're doing and kind of lend support to each other. It was a really, it was very therapeutic, I thought, that, we come together, and it was PTA council as well. So we were thinking of setting a date for that. So we'll get together and set a date and mention that to our schools and Superintendent Hickey and PTA council, yeah, and all the foundation, yeah, all those folks. We'll have to make a list. So Lisa, we'll get together and see what date looks good, and the sooner the better, I think. So we see. Usually, if we're meeting on a Tuesday night, we'd make it for an off Tuesday, or we'll just decide on what's good for all of us here. So that was one, and then student assessment data report. I'm not sure where we are with that. That would be Terry?
Correct, and the state is getting its ducks in a row. I think it's important for you to take a look at this data in a way that you can compare yourself to the county, other similar districts, and then over time. So that information should be coming out. I think that it's embargoed until December 15th.
Yeah.
So tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, yeah.
You should be seeing some more information about that.
Okay, so are there any other future agenda items that we need to get on the books? Karen or Maggie?
Since we have Tom here, I know we had a joint meeting set with the city and we canceled it, and I would love to get it back on the books, on the calendar in January, now that we have two amazing superintendents, that we can start, having this discussion about how we move forward with this. As you can see, Tom, we have enrollment issues and so it would be a great discussion as a city to see how we can work together.
And it is a committee assignment, so they need to do this, right? So, so yeah, that's great. So that's another item for future agenda. Karen?
This is just kind of a quick one. I know that the city, Tom's here, he's going to just get called on out and over and over again.
He'll never come to another meeting.
Exactly, you're never coming back. I just know that the city's done a really good job in terms of implementing Worldly, I believe, is the program that you use to basically have all the meetings be able to be translated in their own language. And I know we don't really do that, and I would love to sort of investigate what that possibility would be. I don't know how much it costs, but I think it would be great from an inclusive point of view to be able to engage as many families as possible to our meetings.
Great. Frank, do you have any items? No. Claire? I have a few, only because we have a new superintendent and she needs to know kind of what we've been doing around here. And so we have presentations from our different committees or different directors. And we talked a little bit tonight about scheduling a budget workshop, which would be something separate from a board meeting, but just to meet the board and our superintendent and Ralph to look at the budget more specifically and get some understanding, better understanding of where we're going and where we need to be. So I'd like to see that as being a scheduled date at some point. The other thing I'd love to have, we have presentations, but we haven't had some presentations from some of our directors in a while. I'd love to hear from our ELL department. I'd like to hear from Rich Rodriguez in terms of, who are our paraprofessionals, our ELL teachers, paras at the sites, and what schools are they, and what hours are they, and what, do we need more? I think it's something that, he can really refresh us on some of the things that are happening in that department. So that's one. I think, hearing from special ed again, Christina gave us a presentation, but we've had a lot of new folks come in, and I know we have a lot of contracted areas, and I know that's a big hit to the budget. And so, we want to know about how we can help with that to recruit and retain people. I know in special ed it's very, very difficult, but I think we need to be very proactive in recruiting for these areas. So, Christine, you could help us with this. And then the other one was tech. Hi, Jeff. Yeah, and we have so much, you present a lot to us, but now we have 3 people in the tech department, and just to know, how are schools doing? How are they being serviced from 3 individuals? We operated with 1 or 2 for so long, right? And so we'd love to hear from you too. So that's a lot to put on future agenda items, but if we don't write it down, we'll forget about it, right? So I just wanted to throw it out there.
And I think it's a really good time because this will be a great learning opportunity for your new superintendent too. And I think in general, people are excited about the work they're doing, and the chance to do a presentation helps you sort of clarify what you're doing. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for bearing with me on all that. Okay, so with that, I think we're going to adjourn this meeting at, what is it, 9:25, 9:35? I'm looking at the clock over there.
34.
9:34. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us.